Well, today is November the 5th, and we're here with an entrepreneur that is actually living in Florida. We're here in the Florida New York Stock Exchange. His name is Mellul. Acher, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
He's an expert on everything regarding insurance, claims, and we want to talk specifically about the problem that we just faced in Jamaica with the Hurricane Melissa. Mellul, tell me about what are those things that happened there and what are the opportunities for the investors?
Yeah. Jamaica was just impacted by one of the strongest hurricanes it's ever experienced in its history.
Okay.
So roughly 50% of the island was decimated. So right now, what the island needs is reconstruction efforts, mitigation efforts, and capital.
Okay.
So those are the three predominant things that they need right now.
Let me ask you another question. We're basically covering the Latin markets. We're covering actually the people that speak Espanol. And I know you are based in Florida.
Yeah.
There is a lot of potential, investors down there that they wanna actually find opportunities that are not correlated with the markets.
Yeah.
And one of those opportunities you mentioned to me are what's going on in the insurance sector, where you can basically profit from claims and for a few other things. So what is really happening there? What you can tell us about that?
Yeah, so this is a $7 billion disaster, right?
Okay.
But the island of Jamaica cannot wait for $7 billion to be paid prior to the reconstruction efforts in Jamaica.
Okay.
So the hospitality and tourism industry is the largest sector of that economy. So they need that up and running yesterday. So what are they going to need to get that up and running? Well, first, they're going to need manpower, right? So a lot of the construction sector is currently shipping out and heading over there. So they're bringing general contractors, and along with that, our capital.
And then
right?
ask you something, and it's important for the audience. So when they are bringing contractors and resources to Jamaica, they are mostly asking the U.S. or relying on the U.S. for those tools and resources, which means then a lot of opportunities for the people in the sector to go and rebuild Jamaica?
Yeah, there's a lot of skilled trades that are needed.
Okay.
And unfortunately, they don't have the bandwidth or the capacity in Jamaica to reconstruct the island of Jamaica in Jamaica.
Okay.
Right? So they're going to need to import that into Jamaica. So outside of that, right, they're also going to need materials. So they have labor, and they're going to need materials. Now, the majority of the materials that are currently being imported into Jamaica are coming from Brazil, Turkey, and the Dominican Republic.
How about China?
China as well, but the vast majority of it's coming from Turkey, Brazil, and the Dominican Republic.
And that represent a problem, or that's okay?
Well, it represents a problem in this factor. Well, it takes a long time for material to get from Turkey to,
Yes, of course.
to Jamaica,
Okay.
right? Brazil has capacity. Now, whether or not they have capacity to service the entire island in the time frame that's needed is the question. And I've had conversations with manufacturers in the United States. They're already getting order requests locally from contractors who already have projects that they've been retained on in Jamaica. So that's welcome, because right now, domestically, the manufacturers are relatively slow. New home construction is down, right? There hasn't been a major catastrophic wind event to hit the United States in several years, and
Okay.
a lot of these manufacturers and distributors rely on that in order to hit their goals and their targets for the year, right? So as a result, they have capacity and bandwidth, and they're working with local and domestic contractors to get those reconstruction materials over to them. Now, the life cycle of an insurance claim is initially, right, mitigation services. So what does mitigation mean? Well, they're going to have to clear all the debris and get access to the properties. Right now, nobody knows what the true extent of the damage is in Jamaica. We just know that it's really bad, and it's going to require a lot of money, right? But to understand what is going to be needed, they have to quantify the damage. So there are two parties involved. There's an independent adjuster and a public adjuster that works on behalf of the insurance company to quantify and assess the damage.
Okay.
And then from there, determine what it's going to take to rebuild everything, right? That will give us a number, and then that number will be paid and then given to the contractor. So what we do in the interim is we sort of fast track that and provide the contractor. The contractor creates an invoice, and then we go in and we fund that invoice.
Where do you
as American Claim
think,
Capital.
for the people that is seeing us, institutional audience, not for the regular investor, but for the institutional audience and people that are basically gathering how to enter with all respect, profit
Yeah.
from, unfortunately, a disaster, where do you think actually is the opportunity that it can represent an uncorrelated return? Because again, when I say uncorrelated, just so you guys know, it's not correlated to the markets. Have nothing to do with the S&P, have nothing to do with the NASDAQ. Where do you think that opportunity is coming, Asher, that is important for the people that is seeing the interview and that want to know exactly how they can move things here and there to make sure they can have some exposure to the sector?
Yeah, I think there's going to be 3 opportunities within Jamaica, I think, will be the key plays for anybody looking to enter that segment. The first, obviously, is construction. If you're in the business, this is a great opportunity for you to have an unlimited supply of work, because there is no bandwidth that Jamaica has to do all the work that it needs to do. That's a huge problem for them, so servicing that would be key. Whether you're in Latin America or North America or anywhere else in the world, Jamaica is a huge opportunity for you in the short term. Second would obviously be bridge capital opportunities. There is time from when the construction needs to be done, which is yesterday, to when the proceeds or the funding will be reimbursed either from a bond, right, or from the insurance proceeds. So that time frame can be anywhere from 1 to 3 years. So a lot of these properties are going to require capital, and a lot of these contractors are going to require capital, because their bandwidth went from having several claims or several projects locally or in the Caribbean, maybe one project in the Caribbean, to all of a sudden having 30, 40, 50 in a matter of a month. So how are they going to, lever themselves to be able to service that entire portfolio, right? Order all the materials and labor. So that's a huge capital opportunity. And, lastly, obviously, is the materials themselves. So if you're able to manufacture the products that are needed by Jamaica to reconstruct these properties, I think it'll be a huge opportunity for you to make some money.
So you're listening for Asher. He's an expert on this field. And obviously, you know that we're doing all this for the retail and the institutional audience that speak Espanol. You're reading subtitles, but he might be able to say something in Espanol. What are you going to say in Espanol to the people? Something in Espanol.
Gracias por tu tiempo.
Thank you very much for being with us
Yeah.
from the Further New York Stock Exchange. Today is November the 5th. We'll get back to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.